Before we kick off, we have our social media. Please subscribe to this channel and please follow on our Apple Podcast and other podcast channels and rate and review using the buttons below, particularly if you like us and do engage with us, because that really helps channels like this, which we are growing. We are growing, but we want to grow faster and bigger and better and have more influence in this niche area of tech, news and politics. Right, Emily, we've been talking about Marks and Spencer's. Basically, the headlines in the last couple of days where it's back online after a brief, closure overnight, which I think people are being unfair, really, looking at a sort of basically a maintenance outage as they're trying to rebuild their services as a kind of another outage and then they're back online. Whereas all they've been doing since this dreadful attack is enabling us to browse their goods.
Yes, indeed. I think that actually Marks and Spencer's has shown a very mature type of reaction to a horrendous outage and are taking the time they need to get their online orders back on stream. They've announced, as you said, that they're not going to be live with their web store until July, which is a huge risk and hit for the business to have taken.
Now, as an engineer, I think for me that looks like they are... if you're taking a store out for a few months and you've got the resources of Marks and Spencer's, we must remember that this is a giant in the game of retail. They own their own bank, They're rebuilding things.
I think they must be, don't you? Because this doesn't look like a quick fix, so maybe we can expect some sort of transformation when it does come back online in terms of the online store.
Yes,
because it's a huge part of their business, and for that to be halted, it's a month so far and counting, and we're expecting another 6 weeks or so.
Yeah, and we were talking to someone that we knew in Marks and Spencer's, one of the staff there, and while Marks and Spencer's issued a thing stating that no payment details and passwords were compromised in the attack, there's all the evidence that they were locked out of their own supply and ordering system, and that's much more pernicious because you actually feel that the customer's data is the most important thing. And Kieran Martin was saying, no, actually the operational data is, and they were basically, we were talking to them. Can you remember?
Yeah, they were saying that some of their suppliers are just sending them tons of stuff, leading to an awful lot of food waste. And also some others are just not sending them anything at all. So really the boots on the other foot in a way, the suppliers are actually running the quantity, and it really calls into question these dramatic events. It calls into question the wisdom of our just-in-time type of society. It's incredible when it works, things arriving just when they're needed, but there's very little resilience in that system.
Yes, you want vegetables when they're fresh, not when somebody on a spreadsheet has planned to deliver them in 4 months' time.
Yes.
You wanted to talk a little bit about... we've been talking a lot about the organisation itself, the customers. We talked with Kieran Martin, former NCSC, head of NCSC last week. What about the perpetrators, the people who are carrying out these sorts of attacks?
Yes, it's one of those things, isn't it, Luce? Because... here we are several weeks into a ransomware attack. There's almost very little that's known, a lot of speculation, very little new that we can say about the situation. But I thought we'd just spend a bit of time this week talking about the criminal investigation because, of course, a major crime has been committed. And although we are now have completely normalised this idea that obviously nobody goes to jail. In this case, I think that there might be a glimmer of hope. First of all, you had a senior National Crime Agency official talking about this being a top priority. And also, unusually, it seems like we have at least English-speaking, maybe domestically, sort of UK-based perpetrators. And where you've got the perpetrators and the crime committed in a single country, you've got a much less complex cyber crime investigation.
So there's almost a tone that sort of, we know We know who they are. It's almost like a very confident statement from NCA. I was quite surprised to read it. It's like hostage to fortune, mate. If you don't actually arrest somebody at the end of this, it's almost like we know who they are. We're just gathering all the evidence before we. I mean, quite frankly, Marks and Spencers and their staff will want to put these people into a very small box, like an oubliette kind of thing, so that they can spend the rest of their existence never talking to anyone. They must be fantasizing about the punishments they want to give these people.
Yeah, they must be. So the National Crime Agency said that their investigation is focusing on this group Scattered Spider. We've mentioned them before on this podcast. A disparate group of mainly English-speaking alleged perpetrators. And I think the sort of the bonus feature for this investigation is that one of the main people alleged to be involved in this, Tyler Buchanan, aged 23, who's Scottish individual, has actually been extradited from Spain to the United States on different charges. So he was extradited back in April, and he's due to investigations on hacks on casinos a couple of years ago. So they've got somebody in custody with a close ally, and therefore I think that the criminal investigation, the fact that these are not, as is usually the case, Kieran Martin was talking about that last time, most of the time the perpetrators are in Russia and actually protected from the Russian constitution from being extradited to a different country. So maybe there's a glimmer of hope here, but it also does just make us think about the culture of impunity for cybercrime that is just is the norm now, and hopefully this will be a case where we can see some progress.
Yeah, and that following on from that, the whole nightmare is ransomware, where they take over your assets and they basically hold you to ransom and you can't operate your business. What Kieran Martin called manufacturing fear and selling relief. And I think so that got me interested in a new cyber attack missive that's coming out of CISA, a cybersecurity and infrastructure security agency in the United States, warning of a broader campaign targeting software as a service providers. And I wanted to just dig into that a little bit without getting too horrible and geeky and tech. But before that, let's lighten things up with our guilty pleasure online.